Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Halo World Championship 2024. You got Golden Boy and Walshy here on the call, and we got a great match lined up for you to start things off here. On B Stream, it's going to be Optic Gaming going up against ITB into the breach, some EUNA action. And honestly, Dave, I want to see what this ITB team can bring to the table here because they've been doing pretty all right.
More than pretty all right.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Like, I think there's a lot of predictions that I've been sleeping on, myself included, where we tend to continually look at them as like, oh, we might consider them the second best EU team behind Quadrant a lot of times, but I feel like results have arguably said otherwise throughout the season. ITB have had some very strong matchups. They've had some strong showings.
Yeah.
And this event so far looking great as well. Feels like TriPPPeY's the only one awake right now here on the Optic Gaming side. Only one of the 4 kills on the board, and the rest of his teammates were at donuts until Formal joined the breadstick.
Yeah, and just an update on how ITB had been doing.
Huh? I haven't eaten yet today. So I'm just doing food references.
Fine. Listen, guys, we kind of came into this one hot, all right? Probably not that we're supposed to be up here, so we're just rolling with the punches. And Dave hasn't had his oatmeal yet.
That last kill was a slice of pie.
Oh,
pie.
Delicious. It's a scrumptious, delicious piece of pie. Oh, boy. All right. Well, take a survey, though, of what's been going on over here, right? So far, I mean, ITB having to hold off on some of the defense here on their base and fight off some of the Optic players that are looking to make this push happen. But there's actually an attempted flag pull being made here that we're seeing happen courtesy of TriPPPeY off screen. But you got a couple weakened members there, and TriPPPeY knows, wait a minute, there's still going to be someone there. It's Jimbo, so I don't want to run into his bandit quite yet.
Yeah, Jimbo just maneuvered so far behind enemy lines here, and they're in position right now to say, all right, we can't force this one in. I like the way that TriPPPeY just abandons that flag and realizes they have to get kills before they can move across the map.
Yeah.
Still numbers down on their side, about 2-on-2, and TriPPPeY still wants to just take up more ground. That's why you see him pushing out to the center of the map. He doesn't want to just get pinned on one spot on the map.
Yeah, and especially because that overshield's coming up right now. So you do not want to sacrifice that, but it is going to be a big win there across both sides, I think, for ITB and Optic to try and prevent that. And then Formal's going to stop him as well to grab that overshield up top. Finally, though, it's going to be TchiK who gains possession of that. And I was saying that it was going to look good for a moment there, and it was, because honestly, if you're both teams, you're kind of, I mean, look, if you're ITB, you're mad you didn't really get to use that overshield to the best of your ability, but if you're Optic Gaming, you're kind of just like, all right, well, we kept that away from them. Kind of prevents us from being able to worry about it.
In the end, it was a win for ITB there, as they're the ones that were able to get that flag recovery, get back to even ground.
That's true, too, yeah.
So that's ultimately what they were looking for.
Yeah. I'm always focused on, like, the smaller micro objectives, which is probably why I lose all the time. And I think that part of the reason why, some of these players are just so damn talented is they're able to parse that. It's kind of like what we were seeing there in that flag pull from TriPPPeY earlier, right? Like, he knew, hey, I can't do this, right? A lesser player would have just forced the issue, but not him. He would put that effort to make sure that he is doing his due diligence to make sure that the rest of his, rest of his base, rest of his location is going to be secured here. And speaking of, though, you got Deadzone now having to deal with this, and ITB want to clear out their base because Deadzone's trying to cause some problems with that flag down toward the courtyard. But he also has Jimbo right in front of him and 2 players behind him, so he's not going to be able to stay alive for that one.
No, and he was just committing to that point. There's sometimes when you have to make pushes, especially the objective, and you don't have a clear guarantee path or knowing how it's going to turn out. So some points you're just like, well, I'm going to die here, but can I get this extra melee? Can I get this extra flag toss off? And will my teammates be in a position to take advantage of that?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is no. And other times you surprisingly get that yes. You're like, wow, the extra toss brought this flag closer. My teammate was able to secure that kill. I got the melee on.
Yeah.
And then the flag continues. But it's all about giving as many opportunities as possible for your teammates.
Yeah, and it's also for your teammates having that understanding, like, hey, this person has the capability to be able to do something like this, so that this way I could, play off of that, right? And that's where you start to see teams like Optic, teams like FaZe, Space Station, they have thrived for so long because of that familiarity and that trust within one another. And, you could probably make the case here for, some of the guys in ITB because, they've been playing together for a super long time, but big win there for TriPPPeY. Yeah,
every single team here, they're all about getting those small little advantages. And that's one thing why you see games play so differently in matchmaking. People wonder, like, what's the difference between playing high-level matchmaking and this? Is people get to a point of frustration saying, hey, I can create 5 or 10 different opportunities, and they might not get taken advantage of by teammates. Yeah. Whereas when you're on these top teams and you have that coordination and you have expectations of each other, more often than not, many of those windows will be capitalized on.
Yeah, there's nothing better than playing well-coordinated Halo. It's a fun feeling, especially when you make the plays happen, right? And at this level of play, These players, they make it happen all the time, but Formal's got a lot to work with here. TchiK in front of him. Some shots are going to be coming from behind here, too, in a moment, but Formal might not be dealing with that one. It seems like you're going to be cleared to go. 2 players down for ITB. It's going to be first cap in, and Optic Gaming managed to lock in their first here. It took a little while for them to do so, and a double kill off the boot from Formal is now going to continue the momentum for the green wall.
Yeah, and I like this Formal just repositioning instead of just overextending into the courtyard. Decides to take over the util. And here's where the squeeze happens. This is a position where Formal does not need to overextend the flag. In fact, he's going to get picked off here if he does that.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to know inside that moment in time. He's not seen so much action, so just assuming it's safe. But generally, as a team pushes through, you realize you're going to have this big battle at the flag, and you cannot overextend.
Yeah, you really can. And now Deadzone, he's doing the same thing that he was doing beforehand. Oh, I love that insta, but it didn't really get to do damage to that player coming in. Good timing from WuTum. You know, inadvertently, I would say, prevented himself from getting nuked there. But he does manage to stay alive, and Deadzone couldn't really get that flag off of the platform, so it doesn't really push many of the players forward toward the courtyard so they can focus on some positioning here and try and see if they can get themselves back into this. Because right now, Optic Gaming, I would say, been, you know, outside of the scoreboard, have been firmly in the driver's seat, especially when it comes to just control of the map too, and ITB need to figure it out.
Gosh, his POV. It's so fun and interesting to watch Halo on MNK. You know what I mean? I'm old school.
You're only ever exposed to me playing it, and I'm not very good.
But I've been playing, you know, Halo on controller for 20+ years now.
Yeah.
And so to see, you know, a player do it on MNK at a very high level is just, it's impressive. And just, it feels weird because you're used to seeing other titles played in that fashion, but not Halo as much.
Oh yeah, anyone who wants to have the debate and talk about why you should play KBM on Infinite, I'm willing to have that conversation with you because I think you'll really enjoy it. It's just so fun, but it's also you have a degree of freedom too that you can do a lot of really wild things. But what also is, I think, impressive though is how WuTum, even in those situations where, you know, he's going up against the best players that have ever played the game, guys like Formal who have been playing for such a long time, and he's still contending with them, toe to toe, right, on KBM. Massive accomplishment for that young man, but just goes to show the talent that's on this ITB roster now. An attempted flag pull was made here on the ITB side, but ITB do manage to get 2 down here, and it's going to be TriPPPeY having to deal with another player. That's going to be a trade out now, and it's going to open things up in the back of the base, but Lucid's going to be up top mid, so he's going to give him the coverage here, and at the very least give him some time to work with. Yeah,
Lucid just laying down some shots, being a difficult kill. I feel like that's always a good mark of a solid player is, are you forcing the opposing team to use at least 2 people to kill you?
Yeah.
Are you not just challenging the depth every single one-on-one? Are you able to avoid that first engagement and force them to have a second player with a secondary angle? Yeah.
It's all about the, you know, again, we always talk about it, but it's those micro plays that you make, and Halo's all about that. And good calls, though, that were being made for Optic. They got themselves another overshield here. 2 down for ITB, so Optic Gaming looking pretty. He got Deadzone on the push. He's trying to identify where these players are, and he has plenty of OS to make this push happen here. 3 players, 1 tucked away inside of the fridge here. I think 2, as a matter of fact. Big kill connection happening, and now the flagpole is going to take place here, Dave.
And also great spacing there from Deadzone, making sure not to trade out that melee, so that if a second player was coming over from that fridge ramp, Deadzone wouldn't have been no shields. In fact, he still had a little bit of OS and would have had the advantage going into a fresh 1v1.
Lucid tried to get a little clever there, but instead, ITB looking to see if they can do the same thing. That flag's got to return. This could be flag cap number 2 here, and TriPPPeY's going to be on it. zMightys is in a position to do so, but he's got to make that return happen, but he can't do so. Instead, it's going to get touched again, so the flag's still going to be up for grabs, but someone should be in the vicinity to make this return happen in a moment here. But look at the pressure.
Yeah, this pressure is insane from both these sides. Lucid doing everything he can to stay alive there. Does not need the force to get that touch just yet, but looks like just taking his time, getting the touch, and just staying alive on top of his flag.
And with Lucid 1 shot, he's in a precarious position. Good news for him, though, doesn't have anyone that's going to actually try and contest him here. The problem is that he's going to continuously deal with some flooding members in, which he ends up doing so and ends up losing that battle. So Lucid's dead, that flag's getting returned, and they are looking at a flag cap here, but they got to get this flag across the map, and they haven't made a lot of progress to do so. There could be a potential cutoff on the other side from TriPPPeY, but I don't think he's going to get there in time, and that's flag cap number 1, but maybe a counter cap here for Optic.
Huge play by ITB. Watching that just from Lucid's POV, you would expect that that was going to be a cap going in favor of Optic, but obviously so many members of ITB winning their engagements, winning their fights against Optic, and eventually getting that recovery.
Yeah, I got to give credit in that situation there. Big battle won, though, for both members of Optic Gaming, Deadzone and Formal. They're going to push this flag down, bottom, mid, and it's looking good. Smooth sailing. We should be able to get this lead yet again. No one in the vicinity to try and stop them, and that's Optic answering right back, countering ITB, getting that first one on the board.
That's so draining and so difficult. You get to the spot where
so
like,
much
all right,
work.
got the cap, and then 20 seconds later, it's like, boom, they're back in the lead again. We enjoyed the tie game for about 20 seconds there after getting that tying cap.
Yeah, it just felt like all that effort, right, went down the drain. Granted, you did get that flag cap, you got a point, but it's a tough pill to swallow.
I know we got a minute and a half left, but one thing I wanted to call out from Lucid there that I saw earlier that I want to go and test myself is, it was interesting. Lucid, most players, when their flag's being recovered, they run over to the flag, they panic and grab it, and try to get like a melee off.
Yeah.
Instead, Lucid just ran into the circle to contest it, fought the battle, and the flag wasn't drained at all. So I was almost questioning if you have an enemy player and you know, one player for each team inside the flag circle, does the flag just stay still or does it drain?
Actually,
and I think it was just staying still from what I could tell.
I think it does stay still. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like treating it like a hill, right? I would assume.
Yeah, like a guaranteed, just that contest mechanic. So
yeah.
that was just unknown to me because I just assumed every single time somebody was in there, it was just going to guarantee
like
drain
no
a little
what.
faster or go back to the state of draining. But
yeah.
We can evaluate that later as we got 40 seconds.
Time to go to the VOD
ITB
yeah,
to
and
dig
ITB.
this one back and see, you know, can they push across the map?
And
Formal pushing back like this is actually a little scary.
This is an
playing
opportunity.
too far defensive. Now Formal is not going to be a factor during this flag run if this flag moves fast.
And they have to make
That's
this
the
flag
danger of playing too much defense.
Oh, they got to get that trade, and they do so. They're successful in that one. TchiK's going to bring this one across. He's one shot, and he's secure. He's inside of blue util. He's got coverage. He needs his teammates there for some coverage to help him out now. But WuTum, he's waiting. Where's the push coming? He got Formal down low. He's got no one around him to help him out. He's surrounded by Optic members, but they're still going to push this flag anyway and get the second one in. And that's going to be a tied-up situation. We're going to OT right at the nick of time. Optic were right all over them, but could not stop them.
What an unexpected run as well. Like, as soon as you stop that very first sprint from them to run across the bridge, you're like, all right, they're not going to do it again. But instead, ITB just committed. They had somebody that spawned, went right on their flag, somebody sprinted over from the util and just met in the center and got that tying cap.
Yeah, very impressive stuff there from ITB to dig deep in that moment. But now they're going to need to find an even further level to dig to, because this is where Optic, in these clutch moments, they will punish you. You got 5 minutes to work with, but guess what? You got TriPPPeY. He's got himself that BR as well as that overshield. It's going to be drained, sure, but that keeps it out of the hands of ITB. They're okay with that because they can continue to just push forward. Granted, they got to be mindful because it feels like the bandits are starting to heat up here for ITB.
TriPPPeY still being a nuisance over here in the util. This is sometimes classic Optic play. Sometimes they'll toss the flag out, bait, go for that round of slays, and then get the new grab. But sometimes also, if they get those kills just like that, 3 down for ITB, and the flag continues moving. Both Lucid and TriPPPeY meeting on that flag. So the second that second TriPPPeY was picked off, Lucid picks it up and continues with it.
Can he get there in time? He's got to go and move forward, and he manages to just push it through the end zone. Gets that cap 3-2. Optic go up 1-0 in this series. And just when he thought that ITB had them, they were nowhere near picking up that kill in order for them to stop that flag cap, and Lucid just marched it on in. Granted, he died at the end, but boy, oh boy, he did everything right. Optic did everything right in that OT, and that is going to be all she wrote for map number 1. 3-2 in the count, Aquarius. We'll catch you guys for map number 2 right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Halo World Championship 2024, live from Seattle, Washington. Optic Gaming going up against ITB, and Optic is up right now 1-0 after defeating ITB in Aquarius CTF in OT with a score of 3-2. And now ITB have to respond here on Slayer Recharge, but this is a good map for them to do so here. I think if they can, you know, find those openings, this is very, very doable for them because they've been playing some pretty good Halo.
Yeah, great start here. 3 kills,
and
Jimbo with camo. Now, it feels like most times we've been seeing camo on these maps, feels like camo players gets like 1 push, and that's about it. Feels like players play a little too slow or passive a lot of times in these standoff scenarios, and sometimes just too aware. Like, I can't believe that player just almost got that melee off in control. But regardless, 2-2 exchange there. ITB happy to trade out in a scenario like that.
Yeah, and granted, they would have probably liked to have been able to accrue some more here, but if they keep playing the way that they're playing, they might be able to walk away with this win. The double kill there for zMightys, and he started this map off quite nicely with 4 kills to his name, and he's got himself that shock rifle, so let's see what he could do with it. Looking to zap some fools. He's gonna try and find hope.
I like this position. I wonder if he connected with that. It seemed like it was almost spot on.
I think he did, but I don't know if it counted because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you shoot through the shroud screen, you don't get the hit marker notification, right?
I am not certain on that.
Yeah, I haven't, to be fair, I throw out a shroud screen, the last thing I do is shoot, so I guess I gotta go ahead and
I feel like you would still get the hit marker.
I think
no
you
matter
should, right?
what. Yeah, I don't think that would be.
I never paid attention to it, so it's just one of
I'm
those
not
things.
spraying wildly in there, but yeah, I'm not 100%.
All right, well, look at this here. An 11-6 score line right now for ITB means that they continue to maintain this lead and in a fashion that I don't think that Optic were necessarily expecting to start things off here, right? Given how, you know, Optic in the slaying category, they were absolutely roaring in map 1, connecting with so many shots. Really, WuTum had a couple of moments of brilliance in that Aquarius CTF game, but it is certainly now a different script here. And if anything, it's gone to show that ITB, man, this team is layers, Dave. They have the talent, they have the potential.
Absolutely. I mean, they're off to a good spot right here, but there we go. Sometimes also 3 kills, I guess a 3 for 2 in another neutral fight there. There's a lot of times where you feel like as the game slows down, sometimes these teams, especially like a squad like Optic, thrive in those situations as they can set up their pushes, they can set up plays there. But as we just saw during at least that last exchange, it worked out perfect for ITB. And when I say perfect too, it's like a 3 for 2 trade, like not that great. It's like you come ahead by 1 kill, but those kills add up. Yeah,
they really do. They really do. And right now they're adding up in the favor of ITB, and zMightys is on track to, you know, have a pretty great start to this game here if he can put some kills together with this shock rifle. Currently sitting at 0 deaths right now. But Optic slowing things down, waiting to see where this push is going to come from. And now that they have identified where that snipe is going to be, we'll see how they move around the map to try and respond.
Also, non-stop sniper going in zMightys' hands. I wonder if that's a decision, or it's just maybe the way it's been going since he is 7-0 to kick off this game. Also not being afraid to just jump right into control where everyone's at during a slowdown time. Last person I feel like I've seen do that is someone like Renegade, who just flies on in and things work out.
Yeah, had he gotten that shot off, the first shot that he connected on, I think it was TriPPPeY that was inside of bottom control. I think that probably would have been the go button for them to make the push happen. But instead, it just could not find those connections. In any case, though, I mean, they're fine with the way that this lead has been building for them, as they've found a decent amount of success at the early parts of this game. 6-kill lead right now, and kind of flipped possession of control here. Previously, Optic, they were the ones that were kind of pinned over toward this side of the map now, but it's going to be ITB. But it's a different kind because both teams are really just trying to jockey to see where those openings are going to be. And it comes, well, it doesn't come in the form of that trade, that's for certain. But you got a little bit of a 1v2 happening over here, and another player down low as well. So this is a great situation for ITB to find themselves in.
And TchiK just going to trade that one out. That's going to be 3 down for Optic. I believe we saw a couple down for ITB. I didn't see the deaths, how early those ones flew out, but still around that 7-kill lead that we've been seeing, around that 10 to 17 mark, and then also here against once at the 23 mark.
Yeah, it has been quite impressive so far from ITB to maintain this lead that they've built up in the early parts of this game.
But it's just shrank right there. Like, it feels like as soon as Optic got one time where kills went in their favor, they are just flying across and they eviscerate that lead. 7-kill lead down to a 2-kill lead, just 2 exchanges.
Yeah, and that is the power of Optic Gaming, right? That is what's made this team so good for so long, but it's also what has contributed to each of these individual players' personal success in their careers, because they can just find that next level, and every single time they do so, it gets more and more challenging to play against them. So if you're ITB here, this is where you got to have these conversations with one another. All right, we had a 8-kill, 6-kill lead at one point in time. It's now they have the lead. What do we do? How do we respond? Because right now I'm seeing a lot of players from ITB kind of struggling to get together because of the fact that Optic are doing such a brilliant job of just isolating these fights and taking advantage of them.
Yeah, Lucid trying to run away with the shock. Hits that running shot, decides to make a double plus killing spree. Now, are they going to be able to turn this into a camo grab? I mean, there's enough time for all those players to spawn, so it's going to be a fair fight again for it. But the unfortunate side for ITB is they're all stuck in elevator.
Yeah.
They're not going to have multiple angles to challenge this camo from.
Yeah, they know exactly.
Look how much map control Optic have right now.
They're all over them, right? And they have so many tools. They have so many nades. They have guns. Now they have the camo. They have everything that you could possibly want in this instance here. And they're picking up those kills. Lucid, he heard someone that was going to be right above him. So that was the reason why he's just taking his time. You can see where those players, man, they're like panicking because they do not want to run into Lucid here. And he wants to get up to this top control, but it seems like, you know, his feet aren't really getting placed. Maybe some
Hands
oil.
a little sweaty.
Put some oil on that.
Can't grab onto that.
Oh, man. But, man, what a switch around. It was a 6-kill lead for ITB. Full control of the map. zMightys was looking like a superstar. And I also want to keep in mind, since zMightys' first death at 7 kills, he has pretty much just been neutralized. He's only been able to get 2 for 9 at that point. So he really has been struggling with that output. And it has reflected on the scoreboard across the entirety of the team, not just zMightys.
Yeah, the bigger difference here has been obviously one that zMightys control over on that shock rifle and how he's going on that great spree. But secondly, how ITB haven't been able to roll those kill advantages into something larger unlike Optic. Optic were many a times getting 2 or so kills and then rolling and getting those last 2 members and then getting the new spawners and just doing more favorable exchanges instead of just a long drawn out neutral position, getting a couple kills and then waiting for everyone to be back.
Well, now as time continues to tick on down, Optic Gaming can just chill. They really don't have to do much, right? I mean, the pressure will be on ITB to have to make these pushes happen. And if anything, Optic are going to be relatively prepared for it. And you kind of see the way that they're playing, you know, for one another here as well, right? Like Formal and Lucid kind of tag team a bit more, even though Formal did, you know, head down low, right, to give Lucid this control position here. He's still in a spot that they can respond in this area quick. Man, he got that stuck. Yes, he did. He stuck him right on the toenail. Sometimes you got to trim those, buddy. It's all right, though. Happens to the best of us. 36-29, they continue to add on to this one, and even with their best efforts, they got to take out this this camo player, excuse me, which and they are successful in removing him from the equation. I believe that was camo there.
Yeah, they eliminated camo. That's Jimbo taking out the camo player. I didn't see exactly who it was from the Optic side, but camo off the map, but still damage has been done. 7-point lead here for Optic Gaming. And there's also not that much time on the clock. We kind of lost track as like how slow it played at some early and middle parts, and we're getting to a spot where ITB, they don't have that much luxury of time. Yes, it's playing time still to like close this, but you can't just, if you make one bad push, you're almost just charging the rest of the time. Yeah,
you really are, and you cannot make that mistake against Optic. And with ITB now with shock rifle control, right? Like, sure, you know, it's fine for them because they have a gun that, you know, zMightys have found a decent amount of success with. But you could tell, Dave, that like Optic aren't really like trying to turtle here. They're really just taking the fight to them where they know that they can because they have those advantages, and they're fine with these trades because the lead is so sizable. Playing great. Just really containing them. ITB just don't really seem to be able to break out of this at all, and every single time they do, they go into a fight with 50% shields, 70% shields, because Optic are just constantly tagging them, and all that time that just gets drained, all the, you know, the points where they get frustrated, and that's where you make mistakes, that's where Optic capitalizes on them. And with 9 kills left, Optic are pretty much on the border to do so.
At least the only silver lining there throughout the last exchange is that shock rifle's back on spawn. I feel like if ITB have any real chance here, they need to get a full new shock rifle and see what they can do. Get it back in the hands of zMightys. We saw what he could do at the very beginning of this game. Can he go on another miraculous run at the end? I would say it's not out of the question, but it's going to be difficult. Yeah, I agree with that. zMightys did get possession of the gun just a little while ago, but the issue was he could not find any of the Optic members because they weren't making their, you know, the best little foreheads available to shoot. Which is always a tough one. And now that Formal's got this camo and he's just running around the map, he's got so much intel. He saw 3 players from ITB, and now he's going to look to handle business up top. He'll get the stick too. The guy knew that he was basically cooked from Jump Street.
and 4 kills remaining. Optic Gaming are going to wrap this one up here with a pretty little bow. And ITB have to be so frustrated because they started this one off, Dave, so strongly and just crumbled in the mid-game.
And they're just going to have to go back to the drawing board. We'll have to see what they can do here on game 3. I mean, just 2 more kills that Optic are going to be able to trade out. You know they're going to be holding some corners, making them difficult kills, either a melee trade or draw a player out from ITB out in the open that one of their teammates in Optic can just finish. There's the 49th. Where's the 50th? And there it is. TchiK is going to be going down in control. Maybe not. Deadzone trying to get the finish. Does get it on to TchiK. So that's going to be 50-41 for Optic, taking a commanding 2-0 lead in this series. Yeah,
very well done. Optic Gaming looked like they were in a position to potentially lose this Recharge Slayer game. But in that mid-game, man, they dug deep. Big camo grabs, big shock rifle plays, huge connections from Formal and the likes of Lucid. Everyone on Optic contributed exponentially to that success, and that gives them a 2-0 lead. When we return, map 3, can Optic close it out, or at ITB find another level?
Welcome back to the B stream, and you might think, hey, you don't sound like Golden Boy. Well, I can only apologize for that, or say you're welcome. It depends on what angle you come at it from, but it's going to be on set and Bravo to take you through game number 3 in this series between Optic and ITB, and an interesting previous game as we head into live fire strongholds here, Andy, where ITB have a fantastic start, but I think by the end of that game, they learned the lesson on how to play when you do have a lead. Optic really did well once they managed to establish that lead from the mistakes that ITB made of just not letting them back in that game.
Yeah, Optic never really looked back. Even when you saw some decent pushes coming out of ITB in the late game, say the Pipes pushes, they were always trading. And even if it was a 3-for-2 trade or even a 3-for-1, they were, unfortunately for their side, always trading, and they let the game slip away. As you heard Wes saying on the desk, if you were watching it on the mainstream, or maybe you heard Golden Boy and Walshy mentioning it as well, you really can't be trading at that mark. ITB, though, off to an early trip cap.
Early trip cap, a little repulse here. Bottom middle is going to get the trade. Jim picks up another one, and it's a really good start here from ITB. 4 dead for Optic Gaming in this triple cap. We know how punishing it can be, and it's been a fantastic start, and I think a response coming in from ITB as well after how that last game must have been extremely difficult to accept, considering they got themselves into such a good position at the start.
Yeah, and they even managed to keep things close, but as we saw, just kind of getting repeatedly ripped by the shock off a spawn. When you talk about plays from Mighty's at back A, just couldn't escape the angles, and he gets taken down. So ITB definitely want to remind everyone why they're here in the winner's bracket, how hard they worked to get here into the winner's bracket, and they want to make sure they have their best showing here in their first match of the day.
Well, 3v3 on the map right now. Optic focusing their attention onto trying to flip B. They know the pressure's going to come in, and Mighty's getting that pick. Now the contest comes in. He looks for the second, looks for the stick, and gets it as well. Now, can ITB step toes in and get this reset? Unfortunately, 3 players have fallen for them, so Optic will essentially complete the task that they set out to do, which is flipping B back in their favor.
Jimbo was on scoreboard. We'll see if he can get out of it alive. Looks like based on the feet, he's able to do that. Might have gone window, but he has a lot of presence and pressure. And they also find themselves just trading here for the most part in a 2v2.
Mighty's challenging. Lucid on the back of green. That was 4 dead again for ITB. It was a fantastic start for ITB, but now Optic have the opportunity to do to them what was done to them previously. That was not a good sentence.
I was struggling through it, let me tell you.
I think everyone was struggling to understand what it meant, including myself.
Ooh, little QT coming in from Lucid. He's the only one that can use that. You cannot follow him. We take a look here at the AC hold, still scoring for ITB.
Yeah, really, really important there for ITB, actually, considering they went 2 or 3 dead. They've managed to not only get the kills they needed, but they managed to turn one of those strongholds back over. Difference maker on the map right now is Formal, though. He has a sniper rifle in his hands, and even though he just got punched in the face by Lucid,
what are they playing at?
What are they still staying alive somehow?
It's just making a hard mode. Gives him a little love tap, and now Formal finally gets his shields back. And would have loved to have heard the comms on that one. Unfortunately, on the B stream, we don't get those, but would have been very. I'm actually going to ask him about that.
Oh! Maybe it's find him up. The tomb comes in. Maybe. Unfortunately, it's going to be last player alive, and ITB will fall. Lucid gets what he wanted, essentially. New sniper this time.
He's like, you know what? I'll just let time do its thing. I'll be patient. The sniper will always come back to me, and that's his.
Time is unbeaten, as always. As Optic Gaming will have a BC hold for now, and will also go into a lead.
Wow.
Lucid's really good with this, and I know I say that a lot. I think he's really good with it.
Really good at the game, too. 3 dead. Mighty's is your last player alive. He's back mud, and they know it. Oh my, WuTum was spawning.
God bless you, WuTum.
Had spawned.
Triple cap here for Optic. They do flip C and they stop the bleeding, but...
Uh-oh, no. I was worried WuTum was going to get peeled again. It was a significant lead for ITB, 70-30 or so. Now they actually trail by 30. Tease it up. Oh, no. Lucid just going for style points now? Is that what he's doing?
He's just trying to find the most offensive way to take down European players. And he's finding new ways to do it. He's redefining what it means to be NA better than EU. This is quite the run from Lucid.
I'm not going to lie. Those were, man, when you talk about kind of repulse style clips, he's making this look a little bit too easy, if I'm completely honest. Those are impressive plays coming out of him. I don't understand how he stayed alive through it all.
WuTum struggled a little bit in this series so far as well. We saw him in the last game, didn't have the best of games. This time he's 4-10, so just struggling to get a little bit of a foothold. I think Optic Gaming's play style kind of sometimes he'll fall into that trap a little bit. He's always trying to be aggressive. Two players on the big door trying to push out towards B, but the damage is so good. But here comes WuTum on a little bit of a flank, gets some damage down himself. TriPPPeY will clean up one top middle, which is going to even those numbers up. And now the focus for both teams is on to B and the conversion of that. ITB taking a lot of damage from TriPPPeY and Deadzone cleaning some of that up himself. So TriPPPeY did a really good job just anchoring nest there, get those shots in.
Still 2 dead here, and they're going to continue scoring. TriPPPeY's going to just take a route. Ooh, actually, look at the route that he took and the way that he decided to take it. Actually, there's still players spawning back tower as well. It's nicely done. It should lead to a lot of Optic Gaming control. TriPPPeY takes such a great route. Eventually, he's taken down, but just like that, it's a 100-point lead, 2v2 on the map.
Yeah, Optic are going to get that camo as well, so Formal's going to pick that one up as the battle commences and eventually comes to an end. Even though they have this camo, you can see that ITB, though, are playing the other side of the map. They've managed to flip B, so they have a BC hold here, so they have tower in their control. It's up to Formal to find this first pick, and ITB are playing this one close together, playing tight, and even though Formal gets that 1 kill, you're worried if the trade was going to be coming in, but he plays that pillar, waits for that camo to come back, and now he can reintroduce himself to the fight.
I like this from Formal. Just one little shot on the sandbags as well. Should be able to eventually, I love how patient he plays this. Eventually knows that he's going to get the support he needs and he can continue challenging, but they're going to slowly start to work on B yet again. And for all intents and purposes, essentially still a 100-point lead overall.
C being flipped here by ITB, though. They've got a 2-2 split across the map themselves. Now you're going to see the flying of lightness from ITB. They're trying to be aggressive. The QT comes in, but not going to be good enough to keep Foreman alive. TchiK down to no shields, and even though Lucid will come in and clean up, both of the ends of the map are owned by ITB right now. ANC is in their hold, but Optic are spawning at A and will be able to flip this.
Lucid right away does really well because what you just saw was he was last player alive. He needed to win that one to just make sure that things stayed calm at B. And in doing so, the team can now quickly move to A. I think he's going to win this one without trading, I thought. But WuTum saves the day, keeps zMightys alive.
zMightys just saw the sneak coming through as well. He's going to be able to help WuTum in this situation. WuTum gets the trade himself, but they need to think about strongholds here. They need to think about working on A with that sniper rifle in their hand. You can see that ITB just got kind of lured in again there to the B push that Optic had made. Sniper is going to be down as well. TchiK is trying to defend here. Not just the entry point in towards A, but also maybe where that weapon is going to be going.
Look at Optic. They don't even care. I love this. They don't push them. They're going to force TchiK to make the play. Love this. They're just going to hold the angle and eventually...
Oh! That's one way to get out of that.
TchiK hits the get out of jail free card, emergency eject button, and it works for him.
Formal finds one, though, to even those numbers up, and TchiK now trying to make a solo play and needs to make this solo play. 3 players are dead, and Formal somehow...
Of course he does.
Knows exactly the routing, the timing, the pace, everything you need to put into the recipe to make a delicious sticky cake.
Deadzone, by the way, largely been a little bit quiet so far this weekend as far as the matches that we've casted. We haven't seen him popping off, but he's 20-10 in this game.
Oh, wow.
Unreal stats coming in from him, and Formal's also just adding to the tally. 232 on the board, not long to go before Optic Gaming 3-0 sweeps.
Yeah, ITB might be thinking about their next round in the elimination bracket because Optic Gaming have looked extremely good in this game. And to be honest, in this series as well, as the Optic you expect to see. And with 9 points left, there has to be some desperation plays coming in. 2 dead, make it 3 dead. ITB, nobody is going to be in position to get in one of these strongholds, and Optic Gaming will close out 3-0 in our winners quarterfinal. They will progress, and ITB will fall down to the elimination bracket.